Hello and welcome to this OffSec student video. My name is Jeremy Miller. I'm Content Product Manager, and I'm joined here today by Stephen Lane. In addition to being an OffSec student, Stephen is a 6-year Air Force veteran, a combat search and rescue Loadmaster, and a contractor for the Air Force as flying hour manager and current operations scheduling. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a great honor and a pleasure.
It's a pleasure for us as well. And before we get into OffSec and cybersecurity and all that good stuff, I'm interested in all these words. I don't know what any of these introductory words mean. Can you give us a little bit about your background? Tell us about how you went from being in the Air Force to starting cybersecurity, and just a little bit about your journey so far.
Yeah, so as you said, I was in the Air Force for 6 years, where I served as a loadmaster for combat search and rescue. That's pretty much where if there was an isolated personnel or an event where someone needed to get medical equipment right quick or medical services, we'd go into the combat zone, pull them out, and bring them to a hospital or to a field site to where they can get the treatment that they need and um, continue living on and continuing their life. After that, the part that got me into cybersecurity was I'd always been interested in computers and tinkering, and I've learned that in cybersecurity there's a lot of engineering and coding stuff like that, which I was interested in high school. So after I got out on my transitional job, I started college, going to DeVry University for cybersecurity programming. And where I got into the offensive side of things was whenever I took the class going over the certified ethical hacker. For me, that wasn't enough for how that course was built. So that's where I dove into the offensive side, getting more into ethical hacking, getting on TryHackMe and Hack the Box, and eventually building up my own virtual lab. And going through that, eventually I decided that yes, I would like to do this more on a professional level instead of as a hobby. So that's where I started really training in, and that's where eventually I landed with you guys, signing up for the Learn1 subscription, going after the Pt.1.
Oh, fantastic. That's quite a background and change. Tell me a little bit more about the experience there. I imagine that flying into a combat zone is pretty emotional.
It can be. Sometimes it's just a quick, hey, guys, sprained his ankle and you can't. There's no Humvees around or out in the middle of nowhere. There were times that we went in and it was this fact of the speed of our aircraft was able to get him from a very remote location to a field hospital to where it saved his or her life, because of the severity of their injuries. So it definitely can get emotionally charged, but it was very rewarding on those missions of being able to go in and say that, hey, I saved a human life.
Yeah, wow.
It was very rewarding, but very challenging as well. A lot of sleepless nights.
I would definitely love to talk a little bit more later about how your training influences your cybersecurity training and your mindset and all that. But let's save that for a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay, so now you're enrolled in Learn1, doing Pen 200. Why did you choose to do Learn1 rather than a standalone course?
The options that I saw with it intrigued me more, just because I was coming from not a technical background.
Yeah.
I knew I needed some sort of additional training to get up the fundamentals, and that's where I saw the Pen 100 course, where it got you familiar with the basics like networking, the web fundamentals, getting to the Linux kernel and stuff like that. Just learning all of the basic stuff, and that has drastically helped me in the Pen 200 course. I think for someone who is coming into the offensive side of things, it really pays off, being able to get that course and that exposure and the hands-on lab that comes with both the Pen 100 and Pen 200.
I'm I'm super glad to hear this. Our audience won't believe us, but we didn't script this. I'm I'm very glad to hear that, because the purpose of the Pen 100 material is to prepare students for Pen 200. So the fact that that's working for you gives us some evidence that's working out. So that's excellent to hear. Let's stay on Pen 100. Is there anything about that course that you feel either didn't prepare you for Pen 200, or rather, is there anything missing there that you would like to see added in?
Honestly, going over like the quick fundamentals, it for me it met what I needed.
Mhm.
The biggest things was again like the network fundamentals, the web fundamentals, the scripting was a huge bonus for me
Hmm.
because again I don't have a programming background. So whenever getting into the scripting portion of that, that really helped out. Um, and I honestly, if we could even, or if there's a possibility of doing more of that, of maybe getting into more of like a Python or even Ruby or another language of sorts, it would, I think that would greatly help out the community and future students being able
Yeah.
to get in and understand a little bit more of those.
No promises, depending on the time that this video is published, but there may or may not be some additional scripting topics published by then. We'll see.
Fantastic.
But yeah, very, very good to hear that that's been useful. We know that networking, system administration, and particularly scripting have always been challenging for new students coming in.
Mhm.
So that's why that's really the focus of Pen 100. What's the transition like from going from, okay, this is some introductory material in Pen 100, and now you're tackling Pen 200? What's been the sort of transition curve? Has that been like pretty smooth, or was it like a big jump?
There, there are some aspects going from Pen 100 to Pen 200 that you do have to put in the effort.
Yep.
um that's one thing I've learned with being with you guys in your courses is um there's not really a just here's all the information, this is everything that you need to know.
Right.
The way that I've at least perceived the way the courses are built is you need to be able to put in the effort to learn and put in the extracurricular studies. um because there are times where I may go into a topic on Pen 200 and I'll have to put that aside and go dive into that topic just to be able to
Mhm.
fully understand what's going on. um just so that way I know what I'm doing in that environment, and that way I could potentially not, or could potentially avoid doing something dangerous to a production line uh equipment down the line.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
definitely the intention with all of our courses, even at the 100 level, is
mhm,
to really get the student to do a lot of the research on their own, because that's just one of the key skills, especially for offensively related careers.
yes.
How did you find that learning experience? Did you feel that it was sort of unexpected at first, or did you go into it and kind of know like, oh, okay, this is what's going to happen?
I talked with a couple other people that have taken the PWK course
Yeah.
prior to the Learn 100, and just trying to prepare for what to expect for the course. And a lot of them did say, hey, go in knowing that you're going to be spending a lot of time doing research outside
Mhm.
of the courses, because they're not there to teach you everything. They are there to teach you a mindset kind of, and how to go about researching things
Yeah.
and kind of build up that methodology behind offensive securities of going in after doing a pen test or red team engagement. It does teach you that, and you have to go in with that mindset of it's not going to teach you everything. It's just going to teach you what you need to know in order to build that foundation.
You had good advice, good advisors. Just so that our audience is aware, PWK, or penetration testing with Kali Linux, is equivalent, is the same thing as Pen 200. They're synonyms, just two different titles for the same thing. Um, okay, let's talk a little bit about your engagement with the community. As many of our audience members will know, we do have a Discord. We also have a Twitch channel where we do some live streams. Have you been engaged there and talking to different students, different student mentors there?
Yes, I have. There's been a few times to where I will get completely stumped on a topic in the course for the Pen 200, or I might be doing something wrong with a script, and I'll go into the Discord and I'll pose my question. And usually within, I think the longest I waited was 5 minutes before someone, not necessarily even a student mentor, but other students
Mhm.
were coming in and helping me out. And that's, a, in my opinion, a great thing for a community. Is it's not just the instructors or the aides from the institute coming in and helping out. It's the fact that there's other students willing to help out,
Yeah.
and it's a fantastic thing. And I've learned quite a bit from other students as well as the advisors as well.
I would put you on the spot here. Can you give an example? Something you learned from another student?
Uh, I don't quite remember their name, but I was having an issue with running a Python script. I don't quite remember what it was, but it was going from I had coded it in Python 2, not realizing that it's supposed to be in
Hmm.
Python 3 with the way the syntax was. And they had sat down and we got into a private call, and I shared my screen, showed them my script, and there's like, hey, this is why this isn't working. And one of my common errors that I now catch whenever I'm running an exploit on a target or anything of that sort is the parentheses for print.
Hmm.
That didn't transition with me whenever I went through my Python course in college, because we didn't have to have
Right.
parentheses with print, and never crossed my mind that that was an issue. And so with that, they were able to, one, I was able to learn the correction for the syntax for Python, and from there I was able to get the exploit to work and um, get to the flag that I was looking for.
Yeah, that's great. You're really hinting at sort of the methodology here, because what often happens is you make a mistake
Mhm.
and you figure out like, hey, why am I getting that error? And then that helps you realize how to prevent that mistake in the future, and you learn something completely new. So that's really fantastic.
Yes.
Um, Anything else about the community you want to share?
Honestly, just the fact that everyone is pretty much helpful. I've almost ran into almost no like toxicity within the offset community. A lot of people, or everyone, has been truly helpful. They will not give you just straight up the answer. They will always try and guide you towards the answer and let you figure it out on your own, which is the way OffSec is built, is figure it out on yourself, but you guys are there to guide people towards finding that answer. And that holds true even in the Discord.
Hmm. That's great to hear. Excellent. So included in Learn One is access to the Proving Grounds, PG Play, and PG Practice. These are hosted machines that are one-off, so it's not a big network, but one machine at a time, and you get to go and enumerate them and hack them. Have you used it? And if so, what's your experience with it been?
I haven't used the Proving Grounds. I've been mainly in the Pen 200
Okay.
lab environment, just because I'm trying to build up those skills, but I assume
Yep.
it's somewhat similar to that. Um,
Yeah, you
and
may find it fun to check out some of the machines once you've gone through more of the Pen 200 ones. But speaking of the Pen 200 labs, how have been are you at the point where you're doing the labs, or you're still working through the course material?
I'm still going back and forth.
Okay.
I try and do a little bit of lab work, see what I've learned, and see kind of like gauge how I've come along in the
Mhm.
course. And even though I haven't fully completed the course, where I have captured a couple of the flags
Nice.
in the lab, which it's a great feeling. It's always great whenever you see that OS tag
Yeah.
right before a flag, and you're like, I got it. So, but it's definitely challenging. The labs are a mirror image of what the courseware is, in the
Mhm.
regards of you have to look at everything and in a very specific mindset,
Yep.
and that is outside the box. It helps out to be able to do that in order to find those vulnerabilities, because the developer may think, okay, it's supposed to work this way only, but if you think outside the box and find it to break, or get that specific service to break a certain way, and it's something unintended, then that's where people like pen testers and ethical hackers can come in and find those vulnerabilities. And I think that shows that quite well in the labs.